What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be discussing my feelings on Mario's 40th anniversary presentation that was in yesterday's Nintendo General Direct. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, first thing they start out with is the second Mario movie, and it seems very exciting. It's called Super Mario Movie Galaxy, and it's clearly gonna have, Lumas and Rosalina in it. And a lot of the old cast is returning. You got like Jack Black and Chris Pratt. And I'm very excited for the movie. Personally, I think the last one was quite good. And this one, hopefully, should live up to the last one's name. Also, I should say that it is a little strange that they put the Mario's 40th anniversary presentation at the beginning of the Direct. I was a little surprised they did that. I thought it was going to be the big finale. And the second I realized they put it at the beginning of the Direct, I was like, well, there goes the 3D Mario. Because, of course, everybody was wanting them to announce a new 3D Mario. But they didn't. But the second you realize that the Mario presentation is at the beginning of the Direct, it's like, well, of course they're not going to announce a 3D Mario, because if they are, that means they will have announced it within the presentation. But if they were going to announce a 3D Mario, that means they also would have wanted to announce it at the end of the Direct. So the second you realize this presentation's at the beginning, you're like, yeah, there's no way there's a 3D Mario. But speaking of 3D Mario, it's very unfortunate that we did not get one. Hopefully we'll get one soon. But a lot of people are thinking that since we got Donkey Kong, we won't get one. Donkey Kong is in place of the new 3D Mario. And I don't think that sells right with me. Because, the next 3D Mario is supposed to be an upgrade from Super Mario Odyssey. And Donkey Kong isn't really that upgrade. In my opinion, Super Mario Odyssey is one of the best games ever made for the Switch. Donkey Kong Bonanza, I liked that game a lot less than Mario Odyssey. I love Donkey Kong Bonanza, but not close to the amount of Mario Odyssey. So, we need the next 3D Mario game. Like, we need it, okay? And some people are getting impatient, but others are content with the Donkey Kong game. And I personally think it is wrong that they are doing this, where they're just like, here's a Donkey Kong game, no 3D Mario. It's very unfortunate because some people think that because of this, we won't get another 3D Mario until like 2 more years because of the Donkey Kong game. But other people think we might get one next year even. So it's very mixed sides, and I personally am on the side of we should get one next year. But they didn't even announce it in this Direct, and this game is so big where if they wait too late to announce it, that won't be good. So, I think they should release a 3D Mario game next year, but I have my doubts now that they haven't said anything about the game in this presentation. Next, let's move on to the thing that I think is either the biggest thing they announced in the Direct or just the presentation. Because they announced that Super Mario Galaxy 2 is coming to Switch 2. And when I saw this, I was like, oh my, because people like me, I've never had the chance to play this game because I haven't owned any older consoles. So it's very exciting that Super Mario Galaxy 2 is coming to the Switch 2. But what I will say is they're also re-releasing the first Super Mario Galaxy, which is okay, and I personally am so glad they did this, because I've always been, if they do release Super Mario Galaxy 2, I won't really want to play it because there's no way for me to play the first. Yes, I could buy the 3D All-Stars pack, but that game, was limited time, so now it's almost impossible to get. So I'm very glad that they are releasing it in a bundle. But some people are upset by this, because they're like, oh, so if I want the game physical, I have to pay more money for a game I already have? Those people who are the people who bought the 3D All-Stars pack. Because the 3D All-Stars pack, which came out for the 35th anniversary, had 3 old 3D Mario games, one of them being Super Mario Galaxy. But, like, I really don't think it's that big of a deal because, like, yeah, it sucks that you can't get physical, but you can still get it digital. But for me, I'm just so glad they did this because that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, the only way I would get Super Mario Galaxy 2 is if they also re-released Super Mario Galaxy 1. And they did, which I was very surprised they did, but very happy I did. Next, I should probably talk about the pricing. A lot of people are upset about the pricing, it being $40 if you want to get one game digitally. But if you buy the bundle, it's only $70, which you are saving $10. Personally, I would buy the bundle because I'm highly considering getting this game. Because, you know, I really want to play a 3D Mario game. And sure, this is an old one, but it's new for me. But like I've said before, I think this game is one of the biggest, is the biggest thing they announced in the presentation, maybe even the whole direct. So I'm very excited that they released Super Mario Galaxy. And they also released some amiibos with the game. And I mean, I'm not a big fan of amiibos. I really only have one. That's because I wanted a certain outfit. Anyway, but like I said, it's just generally, in my opinion, really good that they are re-releasing Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Also, they are adding a little bit extra to Super Mario Galaxy 2. They are adding new storybook pages you can read in the game. Personally, I don't really care about this. I think they're also like releasing a video of the developers like making the game and stuff. I don't really care, but at least they're adding some new stuff to the game. Next thing I want to mention is something that a lot of people have mixed feelings on, and that is they said they are releasing a new Mario Tennis game. And personally, I said in an older video that I would actually like it if they released a new tennis game. But I thought about it a little bit more and was like, well, maybe not. Because, like, they already released a tennis game kind of recently for the Switch. I mean, it was a while ago. But as sports games go, you know, it was a lot more recent. So, you know, it's a little bit odd that they chose tennis again. And at first, when I saw the tennis trailer, I thought, oh, this game's way too similar to the last one. Like, barely an upgrade. Why are they doing this? And then the trailer went on, and the game sounded a lot more interesting. I mean, there's a whole story mode, and, like, there's so many different modes you can play in the game. Like, a ton. Like, you can, and there's a bunch of new power-ups. It's almost like a pretty simplified tennis, but with this Mario spin on it. Kind of like how Mario Kart is just like a very simple, basic racing, except made a little bit crazier with, you know, Mario and items and nonsense. So, I think, you know, after watching the full trailer of the game, it looks definitely interesting. The game is called Mario Tennis Fever, and, like, you know, the reason it's called Fever is because all the power-ups are like, you get a fever of this power-up. So, the game is definitely very interesting. But what I will say is, it's a little unfortunate that they chose tennis. Personally, I'm happy about it because I've only played one other Mario sports game before, and it wasn't tennis, so this still is a new experience for me. And I also just really like tennis, the sport in general. But I can understand why other people aren't as excited about it, because a lot of people were expecting maybe like a baseball game. A lot of people were expecting a baseball game, but they didn't do that. And people who, you know, already have the old tennis game, you know, are like, well, why do I need to get this new one? So, personally, I think overall they probably should have went with a baseball game. But, personally, for me, I'm glad they went with a tennis game. Story mode of this game seems like it's going to be insane. I mean, it almost seems like an RPG style, where everyone gets turned into babies. And, you know, we get to see, like, baby Wario and Waluigi for the first time in a really long time. So, everyone gets turned to babies. Of course, it's still tennis involved, but it puts a decent spin onto a very simple tennis aspect. Next thing they mentioned was a Switch 2 version of Super Mario Wonder. And personally, I don't really care as much for this because I've never played Super Mario Wonder and never plan to because I'm personally not really into 2D platformer games. But it does seem definitely interesting. And I know one of the main flaws that I hear from other people that is the game did not have enough boss battles. They said they are going to add in this new version a bunch of Koopalings, and if they add all the Koopalings, that already adds so many more boss battles. And one of the main things they focused on in this presentation was the fact that there were these little modes you could go to and play with your friends, like basically like Mario Party mini games, except more for a 2D style. So it definitely seems interesting, but personally, it seems a little underwhelming for me, you know? I'd rather better stuff than just a Switch 2 version of this game. But honestly, a Switch 2 version of Super Mario Wonder was expected for a long, long time. Because, like, it's the most recent Mario 2D platforming game. So, obviously, they're gonna make a Switch 2 version for it. I personally just don't care as much. And I also have to mention this, the fact that they announced nothing for Mario Kart World. This game is down in the slumps. This game is not doing well. Mario Kart World needs to get more stuff. Like, some people are even saying that they aren't playing the game anymore and they went back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, Mario Kart World needs a ton of things and Nintendo is not giving it those things that it needs. No DLC was introduced, and you might think, oh, well, it's selling so well, why would it need new DLC? Well, it's Mario Kart World. Everyone who picks up a Switch 2 is just going to pick Mario Kart World up. That's just kind of how Nintendo works. I mean, you always pick up the most recent Mario Kart because it's Mario Kart. And they had it bundled with the Switch. That's why Mario Kart World's selling so well. But can they keep long-term players? Because they kind of need to keep long-term players because of eventually it's going to mainly be focused on online play. And if it's only focused on online play, then and they don't get new players often, well then that's not going to work, or else no one will play online play. They need to add some DLC, some new tracks, some new something. And you might think, well, it's really recent. That game came out just several months ago. Yeah, it did. But here's the thing. You want to know what game got announced to get new DLC? In the Direct, I'll tell you, it was Donkey Kong Bonanza. Donkey Kong Bonanza, a game that came out more recently than Mario Kart World, is getting DLC. Donkey Kong Bonanza is. And I'll talk more about that DLC in another video. But the fact that they're giving it to Donkey Kong Bonanza and not Mario Kart World is a little strange. And Nintendo's been really wanting money, like they always do, but been doing a lot more DLCs recently. And it's strange that they aren't pushing a Mario Kart World DLC. Because I think they should, or else Mario Kart World will not do well. Nintendo's acting like, since it's Mario Kart World, we're getting a bunch of sales, that it will just automatically do well. It won't do well, okay? And since, like, another thing Nintendo did is Pokemon Legends ZA got announced to have a DLC. The game is not out yet. The game is going to come out with a DLC, which is so insane, and I'll talk about that in a later video. But the fact that they're making all these DLCs and not one for Mario Kart World, I don't know what Nintendo plans to do with this game. It needs to have more stuff in it. There's only 30 tracks, too few knockout tours, and a lot of people think, and I still think this, is they're going to give an update that adds a ton of stuff from Donkey Kong Bonanza. When I saw that they were talking about Donkey Kong Bonanza in the Direct and saying it's new DLC, at first I thought they were talking about a Mario Kart World, DLC that involved Donkey Kong Bonanza stuff, like adding new outfits for Donkey Kong, or new tracks. And that still hasn't come out yet, but you're giving Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC. It is crazy. It's crazy that Mario Kart World is not getting anything, was not even mentioned in this direct. Next thing I want to briefly mention is a new thing that they are releasing, and that is a Wonder Flower that you can buy and like put it on your shelf, and it just talks to you. I don't really have much to say. It's neat, but if you're in a Zoom call and it's like, "How you doing, everyone?" I mean, it's gonna be a little silly. So I don't know. It's a little flower. You either like it or you hate it. Okay, let's mention the last final big game in the Mario's 40th presentation. This game, you're looking at it right now. It's the new Yoshi game. And Yoshi games have historically always been like themed off of a certain art style. This one has to do with like inside a book. The last one was like made out of arts and crafts. The one before that was made out of wool, and like cotton. And this one's art style looks amazing, but the main flaw that I am worried about for this game is, will it be too easy? Because what Nintendo is doing with Yoshi is they're treating Yoshi like it's a toddler game, which is not true. They're doing the exact same thing with Princess Peach if you look at a game like Princess Peach Showtime, which I highly recommend checking out. So, for Peach and Yoshi, they're acting like these games are always going to be toddler games, when that's not true. If you go back far enough, Yoshi games used to be really difficult, and it's insane that they're making it more of a toddler game. But overall, it is quite nice to see a new Yoshi game. We haven't seen one in a while, and who doesn't like Yoshi? Dum dum. Everyone knows his iconic tongue noise, and personally, I don't know if I'll ever pick the game up for the fear of it being too easy, and there's just so many other games on my plate right now. But it does seem like a very interesting game, and if you're into Yoshi, I bet you would love it. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. The presentation had its pros and its cons, and be ready for more videos about the Direct. Peace out, everyone.